This is me, naked, unclothed, undressed, under the light of all the gods you dare imagine, waiting to be touched with as many versions of the truth as you can conjure up in your turned off mind. This is me. Give me your theory, give me your opinion, give me your truth, give me your big, bad, holy book. Let me know exactly what tried and tested faith keeps you asleep. This is me, hungry for the price that's forbidden, looking for the man who wrote the superhighway code so that I can rob his richness. He got insurance, he got the state. Let me get him. I want to find game show hosts and put the bastards on trial. I want to kill educated ignorance. This is me revolting in front of you. I am not much, but I give a damn. Lovers look at me, haters look at me as I exhibit my love and my fury on this desperate stage. This is me naked. I love being naked. I look at my naked self and I know that I was made for nakedness. I see my neighbors naked. I see booted and suited men naked. I see women in purdah naked. And all the priests and politicians who I despise are naked, looking at the truth, facing reality, having to deal with themselves, by themselves. Praise the gods for the black, brown, white, fat, thin, one-legged, blind, bent, and uneven naked bodies. Praise the female gods and the older gods for the naked body, beautiful. This is my mother. She read a poster on a Hutchins Street in Jamaica that told her that Britain loves her. She turned into the dream that made me the naked cop beater that I am today. I do all this stuff for my mother, and she cries because I will not go to church. This is me, naked, jealous, passionate, listening for the naked sound of liberty, waiting for the militants to arise, pouring a lubricant sweat into the system of rebellion. This is me, invading the blank stage with my endless aerodynamic tongue, driven like optimistic hope, driven, desperate, raging, hungry, inspired by the chit-chat overheard on stinky, smoky buses, turned on by the politics of the kitchen. This is me, dreadlocks I, Rastafari! Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for revolutionaries to dwell together in the house of the Lord, knowing that the real God will liberate those who liberate themselves. I shall fear no religion. Took away the dried up intermediary, got a direct line to the great ganja creator. This is me, Rastafari, dreadlocks I. This is me, blowing my lonely black trumpet. This is me mysteriously trying to smile, trying to convince myself that this is the lesser of evils. I stagger from column to column, stealing from their stolen concrete as I go. Fall, Babylon, fall, and take your bankers with you as I chant, as I piss on Parliament. This is me standing under understanding, getting up and over, overstanding the corruption of our role models. The lack of courage of our athletes burns me. And this is my music. Low, deep jungle music, heavy roots, reggae, dub stuff. I rave like a lover. I love like a raver. I know it's only hip hop, but I like it. I'm so proud of it. We rock the world with it. We turned on generation with it. We made love and riot with it. We created the magic, but we still don't own the magic. Why must we still struggle for our royalty check? This is me, fatherless, childless. Who shall I go to and what for? Who shall I cry to? Who shall I cry for? I need babies to recite to. I need babies to recite to me. My life is full of lonely, childless eternity, where only poetry gives me life and nakedness gives me knowledge. When I cry, they want to arrest me. When I'm in need, I'm suspicious. When I cross the road, they ask me why. This is me. I hate this government as much as I hated the one before it, and I have reason to believe that I will hate the one to come. This is me. Squeeze me. Let me free me. I have come to realize that what you can do for me, I can do much better for me. Let me do for my loved one what you will not do for them. I want to hold the hands of my loved ones and cause a victorious rumble in this black universe. I am naked, whispering screams in the church of the impatient revolutionaries. I may be vulnerable. I may not have the wealth of my critics or the wealth of my arresting officers, but I have never felt the need to wear a uniform in order to break laws. And I have never felt the need to eat dead bodies in order to feel like a good human being. This is me. Naked. This is me. Naked. Okay, I'm going to put my clothes back on now. This next poem was inspired by my father. I come from a family of 9, and I'm the oldest boy, and well, I'm the oldest one. My father felt that was a really good achievement to have a boy at the head of the family. And he was very strict about people's roles in the house. He was basically a sexist bastard, but he called it tradition, you know. He actually had a room in the house where he would have these man-to-man talks with me. A room, all it had in there was a little table, a lamp, and 2 chairs. And he would sit me down and have these man-to-man talks with me. And one day he sat me down and he stood towering above me and he looked down upon me and he said, "Son, when you grow up, I want you to be a man." I was always a bit of a rebel, you know, so I said, "Yeah, do I have a choice?" He said, "Son, when you grow up, I want you to be a man." I said, "Father, help me here. It's getting deep." He said, "Son, I want you to be a macho man." Well, as you can tell by the way I dance on stage, I failed happily. But I wrote this little poem about the trauma I went through at the time, trying to be a macho man. I used to do this thing where I would create a poem and then perform it for an audience, and then invite members of the audience to give it a title. And I didn't do that with this, and I kind of wish I had done it because I published it, and it was called Man to Man, but everybody called it Macho Man. Macho Man can't cook. Macho Man can't sew. Macho Man eats plenty red meat. At home, he is the king from the front garden to the back garden. From the lift to the balcony, him is the supreme master, hey, the controller, hey. Food must ready on time, clothes must ready on time, woman must ready on time. Oh, macho, can you go? Come, talk to me about sexuality. Come, meditate. Come, see of the will. Those bulging muscles need Tai Chi. Those drunken eyes need herb tea. Come, relax. Macho man can't cook, sew, or wash him pants, but macho man is in full control.
This is a love poem. It's a poem about my first love, my true love. It's a poem about the woman I love so much. I get really emotional when I think about her. This poem is called I Love My Mother and My Mother Loves Me. I love me mother and my mother loves me. We come so far from over the sea. We heard that the streets were paved with gold. Sometime it hot, sometime it cold. I love me mother and my mother loves me. We try to live in harmony. Well, you can call her Valerie, but to me she is my mummy. She shout at me daddy so low sometimes. She's always been a friend of mine. She's always doing the best she can. She works so hard down in England. She's always singing some kind of song. She has big muscles and she's very, very strong. She likes pussycats. She loves cashew nuts. She don't bother with no if and buts. I love me mother and my mother loves me. We come so far from over the sea. We heard that the streets were paved with gold. Sometimes it hot, most time it cold. I love her. And whatever we do, this is a love I know is true. My friends, I am talking to you. Me and my mother, hey, we love you too.
the end of the show. I'm just going to go home now. I feel so good. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so we're going to do some poem. By the way, did you have a good day?
Yeah.
Enjoy the house?
Yeah.
Interesting place, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. I'm a poet in residence here, which a lot of people think I should live here. But, you know, there's not a spare bedroom for me, is there, you know? Anyway, I'm going to do some poems. This first poem was inspired by a film. A lot of poets do that. They see a film and they be inspired. I saw the film once called Jurassic Park. Anybody saw that film?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few people see it. Actually, I was like you, really. You know, you did this. I didn't really see it, but I knew about it when the first one came out. Because it was the first film where I really noticed this thing called merchandising. Where the film came out, and even though the film came out, you didn't have to see the film to know what it's about because they were selling all this merchandise stuff. And I remember when Jurassic Park first came out, dinosaurs started to appear everywhere. You know, dinosaur baseball caps, dinosaur bedspreads and blankets, dinosaur cups and mugs. You know, my brother had dinosaur underpants. Dinosaurs were just everywhere. And like I said, I didn't see the film, but it inspired me to write this poem. Now, there's a very well-known kind of dinosaur, which, if I don't even tell you what it is, somebody's going to tell me what it is.
T-Rex.
T-Rex. Is anybody really clever that know what T-Rex stands for? Go on, I'll give you a go because you look really shy. Go on. You don't know?
Well, I do know, but can't say. Okay.
You don't want to show off?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What? Say it again.
No.
No. Go on. All right. You said something like Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is almost right. What is it? Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I'm sure which is what you meant. Anyway, my poem's called Drivosaurus Rex. The dinosaurs are back, working at Hollywood. Now they're not made of flesh and bone, they're plastic, foam and wood. The dinosaurs are here. I saw one on the bus as I was on the way to play at Dinosaurs Are Us. They came from Noah's Ark and to Jurassic Park, and when they ate, you can bet they done some great big barks. And from Jurassic Park, they came into our homes in big boxes of cereals with added rocks and stones. The dinosaurs are back with bottom, front and side. The ones I've seen look really mean and really very wide. These dinosaurs are stars. I've seen them on radars, looking cool and deadly as they drive around in cars. Clap. Well, a friend of mine wrote a poem once, which I think is a great poem. Only 3 lines, but it says a lot about people and their attitudes to poetry. His name is Adrian Mitchell, and he wrote, "Most people ignore most poetry because most poetry ignores most people." And I thought that was a great bit of poetry. He was commenting on a lot of people that write poetry that's kind of pretentious, that's just trying to show how clever they are and not connecting with people. And I agreed with him, and when I read that poem I went, why didn't I write that, you know? So I tried to write my own version of it, and I wrote a poem called Who's Who. I used to think nurses were women. I used to think police were men. I used to think poets were boring until I became one of them. Bum bum. And in that poem I'm talking about stereotypes and people. I'm waiting for this because this is going to be deep, I know this.
When in like poetry and anywhere, like, did you get any like enemies or anything? Like, did you get bullied or any enemies?
Because of my poetry?
No, like
in
your
life?
lifetime.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like an enemy or a bully?
Yeah. I told you she's heavy. Yes, of course. And, you know, I'll be really honest with you. I have been bullied, and I have been a bully. You know, so why was I a bully? Because I hung out with some friends who were bullies, And so to fit in, you know, I had to go along with them. When I started thinking for myself, I realised, what am I doing? Especially after I was bullied. I went to a school once where I was the only black kid. And in those days, they used to have, like, all over the place, they had these things called gollywogs and things like this. And on television, it was always negative images of black people. And so sometimes I really didn't want to go into school. And when you go, there's one school I went to, and to put it bluntly, I was bullied by the kids and I was bullied by the teachers. Could you imagine? There was nowhere to go. And I'd go home to my parents and they'd say, you know, son, we are guests in this country, it's just what we got to put up with. You know, they'd send me back to school and yeah, but actually, poetry helped me because on one level, it did win me some friends, but on the other level, I wrote a lot of poetry about being bullied or about being stereotyped. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote when I was really small. I kind of finished it when I was a little bit more grown up. It's only a short poem, but it's about really struggling at school and what people thought of me at school. And it's called No Problem. I am not the problem, but I bear the brunt of silly playground taunts and racist stunts. I am not the problem. I am a born academic, but they got me on the run. Now I'm branded athletic. I am not the problem. If you give me a chance, I'll teach you of Timbuktu. I can do more than dance. I am not the problem. I greet you with a smile. You put me in a pigeonhole, but I am versatile. Well, these conditions may affect me as I get older, and I am positively sure I have no chips upon my shoulders. Black is not the problem. Mother country, get it right. And just for the record, some of my best friends are white. So, yes, I was bullied, but I found ways around it. And now, of course, I mean, every school should have, you know, a way for you to report bullying and ways of dealing with it. And but yeah, it was a very, very lonely place when I was being bullied. And in a way, I became a bully to stop myself from being bullied. But as soon as I started to think for myself, as I was bullying people, I'd say, come on, Benjamin, you know what it's like to be bullied. How can you be doing this to another person? At that moment, I just stopped and started to help people that were bullied. I turned to Rastafarianism because I was kind of inspired by the messages in the poetry and music that we were getting from Jamaica. And also because it allowed me to be political, but spiritual at the same time. I found that so many people that were religious weren't political enough. And a lot of the people who were very political weren't spiritual enough. This is not really about religion. This is just about having a spiritual aspect to your personality, having somewhere else to go when you meditate. And so the movement of Rastafari kind of suited me in that sense. There was a political and spiritual aspect to it. Actually, that was fine for a long time because it was some way to channel my anger. It was very great for my poetry because of the whole reggae and dub poetry. There was a kind of rhythm to it all that just worked fine. The great thing about Rastafarianism is that it's kind of rooted in the Bible. It's another way of reading the Bible, but it also allows you to read the Torah and the Quran, and you can read the Gitas, the Hindu holy scriptures. You can read anything. You can read Karl Marx and Marcus Garvey, you know. Now, Marcus Garvey was a kind of Jamaican philosopher, lived in the 20s. And I'm a passionate vegan. My Rastafarianism told me that I should live and let live, and I didn't want to hurt any other animal.
Not all Rastas are vegans. Some say we just got to kind of live as we can in the world, and if they believe they can't live as vegans, then they won't. Most, in fact, I don't think I've ever met a Rastafarian that eats pork, for example. But most will be vegetarian. In fact, a lot of people will say to me, what defines a Rasta? Because some Rastas seem to be quite left-wing, some seem to be quite right-wing. Some believe in living very naturally, living in the hills, living in communes. Some live in the city, drive BMWs. Some become militant Bloodaxe poets. You know, I mean, and we are all Rastas. None of them will look at each other and say, you're not a Rasta. The thing that all Rastas have in common, or the things I should say, are three. First of all, they believe that Marcus Garvey was a kind of modern day prophet. He was at his peak in the 1920s. He believed that if black people didn't get strong, didn't have pride in themselves after slavery, they would go into another kind of economic and domestic slavery. So we all recognize him as a modern day prophet. That Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, or past Emperor of Ethiopia, came from the family of Solomon and David. His full title was King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, from the root of David. It's a bit of a complicated story, but Solomon and Sheba had a child named Menelik. Solomon said, as a present, I'll give you Ethiopia. He went to Ethiopia, and from Menelik, we count 365 kings to Haile Selassie. So we recognize him, not forget his politics for a moment and what he did in terms of as an emperor, but we recognize him as a direct descendant of the King Solomon and David in the Bible. That's why Haile Selassie is important to Rastafarians. Some people say he's a living God. Some people say, oh, he's important because he's just the lineage. Some people say, you know, he was a modern day prophet. There are people like me that say, when he was a small boy, he was actually called Rastafari. That's where we get the name from. When he got crowned Emperor of Ethiopia, he had a crown, and he actually obviously went and did politics, and then he got into the dirty world of politics, and then he made some mistakes. He made the mistakes all politicians make, and that's my point of view. There are some other Rastas who will argue against that and say, no, he was perfect, he did okay, and whatever. And then the other thing we all have in common, which is kind of a fact now, we all know it's true now, that all black people came from Africa. So those are the three things: Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie, and Africa. And if you really want to be pedantic, all people came from Africa. And I started to think about multicultural, multiracial Britain, about where we've come from and where we are now and where we are going to. What is our destiny? And as I started to think about all these things, I started to hear the voice of the great civil rights activist in the United States, Martin Luther King. And you remember Martin Luther King? Yeah. And you remember Martin Luther King had a dream? Yeah. Well, I have a scheme. You see, I am here tonight, my friends, to tell you there is hope. As high as that mountain may seem, I must tell you I have a dream. And my friends, there is a tunnel at the end of the light. And beyond that tunnel I see a future. I see a time when angry white men will sit down with angry black women and talk about the weather. Black employers will display notice boards proclaiming, me no care where you come from, you know. Ooh. As long as you can do a good day's work, that cool with me. I see a time when words like affirmative action will have sexual connotations, and black people all over this blessed country of ours will play golf. My friends, that time is coming.
And in that time, African, Caribbean and Asian youth will spend big money on English takeaways, and all police officers will be armed with a dumpling. And it's a time when the President of the United States of America will stand up and say, I inhaled. And it's kind of nice, so rewind and come again. Immigration officers will just check that you are all right, and all black people will speak Welsh. I may not get there with you, my friends, but I have seen that time. I see thousands of muscular black men on Hampstead Heath walking their poodles, and hundreds of black and Asian female Formula One drivers racing around Ledbury in pursuit of a truly British way of life. I have a dream that one day from all the churches of this land we will hear the sound of that great old English spiritual. Here we go, here we go, here we go. One day all great songs will be made that way. I am here tonight, my friend, to tell you that the time is coming when all people, regardless of gender, colour or class, will have at least one Barry Manilow record. And vending machines throughout the continent of Europe will flow with soursop and sugarcane juice, for it is written in the great book of multiculturalism that the curry will blend with the shepherd's pie. And the Afro hairstyle will return. Now let me hear you say multicultural. Multicultural. Amen. Let me hear you say roti roti. Roti roti. Hey women, I may not get there with you, my friend, but I have seen that time, and as an equal opportunities poet, it pleases me to give you this opportunity to share my vision of hope, and I just hope that you can cope with a future as black as this.
I was 23. I was 23 when I took that photo. That was me and Benji. As I get older, I get darker. I don't know why. I was nursing in the hospital, and then I met my husband through another friend. He's like me. I'm outspoken. I have no fear of nobody.
I know.
Do you remember this? We went to a funeral, and Mum went up, and she did her bit, and it was like poetry, and there was some of me in there, and he came down, and I said something like,
was it Clarice's son's funeral?
I think so, and I said something like, Mum, God, you really sounded like me, and you went, no, you sound like me.
Yeah, that's
Do you remember?
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, because I think in a way,
it's true. I mean,
think he's like me in a lot of ways, even though he's a boy. Because girls usually like their mom more and boys like their dad, but I think he's like me a lot.
A lot of people say that, I always have this thing, I'm anti-police. I know people who are police officers. One of the things that frustrates me is that there are some good people that try to be good police officers, and they really struggle to be good police officers. And that shows you that something is very wrong with the system. Once upon a time, my cousin Michael Powell, he had some mental problems. He climbed on a roof, and his mother called the police. And a policewoman came, a really nice policewoman, tried to talk Mikey down, and she was finding it difficult. And she said, and Mikey said something to her like, oh, you're nice. And she said, why don't you come down, we can have a little date, we can have a drink of tea together and just hang out together for a while. And Mikey came down, and they shared some biscuits and had a cup of tea, and they had a joke and a laugh. And then that policewoman went away. That was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A couple of weeks later, Mikey was having another event where he was outside the house, and he was being a bit rowdy, and his mother couldn't get him in. And so she thought, call the police, they may bring that nice lady around again. This time it was 1 o'clock in the morning, within Handsworth. The police arrived, they saw Mikey on the street, and they ran him over with the police car. Then they jumped onto him, held him down, picked him up, threw him in the van, put his chest on the ground. A long time ago I couldn't have said this, but I can say it now because it's all come out in the inquest and it's official. and he died in that, well, within the next hour. We don't know if it was actually in the police car or in the station, but within an hour he was dead. So his mother thought the police service, I can call them, they will come and help me, like the way that lovely policewoman came the other day. And it wasn't like that. So what we see here is real police force. They didn't listen to the mother. They just saw a black man in the night on the streets of Aston, Handsworth, Lozelle, this particular part of Birmingham, and thought that, you know, in fact, when the police officer was asked why he ran over him, he said, because I could not see his hands. The judge said, what's that got to do with anything? And the police officer said, well, if I can't see his hands, I assume that he had a gun.
He's on kicking me to death. And it was, I'll perform a little bit of it for you. In the distance of the night, you see them moving around, investigating and crime-making within any town. Creeping persons with no heart, them control who them please. Them only like to see you when you're on your bending knees. Some of us will fight them, we fight them. Some of us fight back. Informers will sleep with you, then stab you in your back. This regime is racist, we know this regime is bent. This regime is like a worthless penny that's unspent. Well, this policeman keeps on kicking me and pulling out my locks. He keeps on feeding me unlimited book locks. This policeman is a coward, he gets me from behind. He can jail my body, but he cannot jail my mind. Like a bat from hell, he comes at night to work his evil plan. Although he goes to church on Sunday, he's a sinner man. Like a thief in the dark, he takes me to the place where he just left. And when he get me in there, he is kicking me to death. This policeman keeps on kicking me to death. What a prat, this policeman keeps on kicking me to death, idiot. And got me up and took me to the place for human rights. A notice on the door said, sorry, we are closed tonight. So I turned around and take myself to see this preacher guy who tell me about some heaven that was in the bloody sky. Well, I don't want to kid myself, but I don't think I'm free. If I am free, then why does he keep fucking kicking me? I tell you, I'm not joking, you should see them over there. They have no respect for either living or welfare. This policeman is a creep. I tell you, he is mad, because I am trying to do good while he exhibits bad. Well, I am living in the ghetto, I'm trying to do my best. When this policeman tells me I am under damn arrest. Well, he beat me so badly, I was on the floor. He said, if I don't plead guilty, he will kick me more. I was feeling sick, I pleaded. Racist attack. And another bastard come to finish me off. And this one was black. In this war we have traitors who want him to sell you out. In this war there are people who refuse to hear the shout. For human rights to be regarded as a basic right. So this policeman kicks me every day and every night. Like a bat from hell, he comes at night to work his evil plan. Although he goes to church on Sunday, he's a sinner man. Like a thief in the dark, he takes me to the place where he just left. And when he get me in there, he is kicking me to death. Well, this policeman keeps on kicking me to death. I tell you, this policeman keeps on kicking me to death. I tell you, my people, he keeps on kicking me to death. I mean it, my people, he keeps on kicking me to death. He keeps on kicking me, he just keeps on kicking me. Well, he keeps on kicking, he's kicking me to death. He keeps on kicking me to death. He keeps on kicking me to death. He keeps on kicking me to death.
The thing that really touched me about the Stephen Lawrence case was that there was so much that it could have been done on the night immediately to get the killers. Even their ex-girlfriend talked about how they came home boasting about what they do to black people. And we live in a country that talks about, you know, they use the term Great British Justice. And no Great British Justice was served out that night. And to make it worse, we have reason to believe now that there was some levels of corruption that just made it harder and harder to bring the people to court. When they did actually get to court, there was all these reasons of legal technicalities that meant that they couldn't be charged. it had to be thrown out of court. So when I wrote We Know Who the Killers Are, it was almost, sometimes what happens is you get some debates happening in the police and in the media, and everybody on the street knows the truth. And everybody on the street knew who the killers were. And in fact, when I first wrote it, I performed it on television, and they had to get it read by all these solicitors because they were worried about, do we really know who the killers are? And the solicitors were saying, well, we know who they are, but we can't say that officially. And for me, it was a case of publish and be damned, and we got some legal people, and they said, we'll go ahead, because actually, it must be the first time I've ever written a poem and wanted to be sued for it. Because if they sued me for it, I would have my day in court with them. And so that's what it was about, really. And it's a very angry poem, but I've kind of taken my inspiration from Doreen Lawrence in a sense, that it's not Benjamin Zephaniah angry, but I'm stamping on the table and being, shouting out there. I'm saying very calmly, we know who the killers are. You can do all this stuff, you can have all these inquiries, but we know who the killers are. It starts with we know who the killers are, and it ends with we know who the killers are. But although it's angry, it's very dignified and very factual. And so in that sense, it's very much inspired by Doreen. We know who the killers are. We have watched them struck before us, as proud as sick Mussolini's. We have watched them struck before us, compassionless and arrogant. They paraded before us like angels of death, protected by the law. It is now an open secret. Black people do not have chips on their shoulders. They have injustice on their backs and justice on their minds. And now we know that the road to liberty is as long as the road from slavery. The death of Stephen Lawrence has taught us to love each other and to never take the tedious task of waiting for a bus for granted. Watching his parents, watching the cover-up, begs the question, what are the trading standards here? Why are we paying for a police force that will not work for us? The death of Stephen Lawrence has taught us that we cannot let the illusion of freedom endow us with a false sense of security as we walk the streets. The whole world can now watch the academics and the super cops struggling to define institutionalized racism as we continue to die in custody, as we continue emptying our pockets on pavements, and we continue to ask ourselves, why is it so official that black people are so often killed without killers? We are not talking about war or revenge. We are not talking about hypothetics or possibilities. We are talking about where we are now. We are talking about how we live now in this state, under this flag. God save the Queen. And God save all those little black children that want to grow up. And God save all the sisters and brothers who love raving, because the death of Stephen Lawrence has taught us that racism is easy when you have friends in high places, and friends in high places have no use whatsoever when they are not your friends. Dear Mr. Condon, pop out of Teletubby land and visit reality. Come to an honest place and get some advice from your neighbours. Neglect your well-paid ignorance, because we know who the killers are.
It was hard, but it was easy in that I could go and visit him a lot. And we could go and visit. Only when you was in Leicester, and we could only go about once or twice a week then.
That was my boastal.
When he was in there, I know he was safe.
I was going to say that. Actually,
I think he was more. I think he was more safer than out the street with the boys, and getting in trouble. I could sleep at night. I know where he was, and I could go and visit him there. But because he had friends that I didn't like the company, so I prefer him when he was in there. I prefer him.
No, I can understand that. There's sometimes he was inside, and then we're hearing about kids outside who are getting killed and stuff, and we're thinking, oh, that could have been me.
Yeah, and you know where he
so
is.
It's a weird thing, but we were locked up, and obviously at the time I didn't want to be locked up.
No.
But she knew where we was.
Yeah, I knew where he was.
You know, and we weren't being shot at.
I mean, right now you hear some parents say they wish they'd rather the kid was in prison than on the street, you know.
You see, the parents are not watching the news and they're not listening to debates about treatment of people in prisons or stuff like that. They're not doing that stuff. The news to them is what's going on in the community. And what's going on in the community is people are robbing, people are shooting, or whatever it is. I mean, it's not all bad. People are also going to church and people are doing good things. But when they see what's happening to a lot of young people, for them it was like, okay, my son's in a place that's not a great place, but
no, without rather be there, yeah. You can sleep at night because you know he's in there.
Because when I came out, I could come out, she'd see me for a couple of days and I'd be gone. Gone, and these are the days before mobile phones and all that stuff. You know, and every now and again I'd turn up just suddenly, but in between that, she wouldn't know where I was.
Well, yes, I because I knew in my mind, I thought it was some of the other guys leading him astray. I thought it wasn't his own mind. Actually, I thought maybe you know, he's doing it because his friends are doing it. Like driving away cars and bringing them back. So did you tell them about that, Benj?
You always
I think they've heard that.
And what did you think about that? Did you have faith that it was going to turn around at some point?
Yeah, it's really strange because when you're with people who are doing criminal activity, it takes over. So we go into the bull ring, and we are looking at how people are carrying their bags and their wallets. That's what we're looking for, you know. And strange enough, it's still a habit I got today. The other day, I was on an escalator, and a woman was standing in front of me with a bag, and I took her purse.
You did what?
No, listen. I took her purse, and then I tapped her on the shoulder and gave her it back. Because she'd left it, I wanted to show her. The danger. Because women do that a lot, you know, they put a bag on there and they put the purse in the bag.
Yes, they do it in town as well.
And so I just took it and and she was like, oh my God. And he gave me back. And I said, well, I don't need to steal. And I just want to show you how easy it was.
Yeah, it is to pinch your purse.
To steal. Yeah. So we would go around and we'd say, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get that, I'm going to do that. And pickpocketing, we used to just, it took over. Now, sometimes I would be doing a song would come on and I'd be doing a kind of rap to it, right? But could you imagine standing out on the street corner with those guys or being in the bull ring and then going, I really want to be a poet. It doesn't work. And especially then, because the word poet was a dirty word. It was a word that meant kind of, you know, the old story, although a lot of those kids did poetry. It's a very strange thing to explain because they were very poetic. Even my mum speaks poetry sometimes, but she won't call herself a poet. And it's just stories she knows from back home or a rhyme or something like that.
Right, we call it rhyming.
Yeah.
Rhyme.
But if we say poetry, then we suddenly start to think of a very highbrow thing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't say to them that, you know, I wanted to be a poet and I wanted to kind of pursue it seriously. But there was something deep inside of me that kind of knew what I wanted to do.
Is that true?
Yeah. I think from, when I was about 8, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. But I didn't have a concept of it. And I remember thinking at one point, after board school, because I didn't really officially leave school, I just was in a preschool, wasn't I? They let me out, and then I didn't just go back to school, that was it. And I thought, how do I go to the job centre and tell them that I want to be a poet? You know, it just wasn't done. And so I just lived in this very strange world where Mum is right, I kind of went along with the crowd for a bit. And I mean, I think you've heard me tell the story when I do an audience review. It's absolutely true. I woke up one day, this guy's looking for me, I'm looking for that guy, police are looking for me, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, I've got to get out of this. I want to be a poet. And I just left.
And just left.
A poet should
Doesn't matter how bad things are, a poet should tell you that things can get better. If you are lying in a gutter, the poet reminds you that if you look up, you can see the stars. This poetry is like a rhythm that drops. The tongue brings a rhythm that shoots like a shot. This poetry is designed for ranting, dancehall style, big mouth chanting. This poetry won't put you to sleep saying, follow me like your blind sheep. This poetry is not party political, not designed for those who are critical. This poetry goes with me when I go to my bed. It gets into my dreadlocks and it lingers around my head. This poetry is with me when I am riding my bike. I have tried Shakespeare, respect due dear, but this is the stuff I like. This poetry is not afraid of going in a book. No, but this poetry needs ears to hear and eyes to have a look. Yes, this poetry is verbal rhythm, no big words involved. And if I have a problem, the rhythm gets it solved. I have tried to be romantic. It did no good for me. I take a reggae rhythm and build my poetry. I could try something personal, but you've heard it all before. No written words are needed because plenty words in store. This poetry is called dub ranting. The tongue plays a beat and the body starts skanking. This poetry is quick and childish. This poetry is for the wise and foolish. Anybody can do it for free. This poetry is for you and me. Don't stretch your imagination. This poetry is for the good of the nation. Chant in the morning. I chant in the night. I chant in the darkness and under the spotlight. I pass through university. I pass through sociology and then I got a dread degree in dreadful ghettoology. This poetry is with me when I take a walk, and when I'm talking to myself in poetry I talk. This poetry is with me, below me, and above, you see. This poetry is from inside me and goes to you with love. Let me be honest, this is my life, right? So I've got to kind of tell it as it is. Yeah, that's the truth. And the truth of the matter is, although I was born in Coleshill and I didn't go back there that much. I used to go every now and again when I was a teenager because it was a nice place to do burglaries. It was posh, you know what I mean? And they had all these houses with Rolls Royces in front of the in the drive and things like that. And it was just, you know, I'm telling the truth, you know what I mean? One night, me and some friends of mine, we nicked this white Rolls Royce, a white Rolls Royce, and we took it and we were driving around Birmingham, went round Handsworth. You could imagine 4 rastas, you know, driving around Handsworth, this white Rolls Royce. And it was beautiful, and we took it and we had a nice little drive. And I don't understand the kids of today. I'm not one of these people now that have reached such an old age that go on about the kids of today. I don't do that stuff, you know. But I do think things have changed, you know. Kids nowadays, if they nick a car, first of all, they burn it out. You know, it's a thing called joyriding, and they just burn it out. They put their foot down, and then when they're finished, they park it up and then set it alight. We would have never done that back in our day. No, we like a car, we drive it, we put it back. You may want to use it again, you know. And this Rolls Royce, you know, it had wood in it. It was beautiful. It had all these classical records. And it had, in the dashboard, built into the dashboard, some of you may remember this, it had a thing called a record player. Do you remember that? Yeah. And you could play the records as you were driving. Anyway, we parked the car up after we finished with it, and we took a few things to sell for some extra money, you know, a couple of records and things like that. And the next day we were at a second-hand shop trying to sell them. And we sold a couple of things, and we tried to sell the records, and the shopkeeper didn't want them. And we came out to the shop, and this man followed us out and said he was interested in buying these records from us. So he said, how much do you want for them? And we said, well, you know, you give us 15 shillings for that one. You don't remember shillings, do you? You're all funny young. And give us some money for that one or whatever. And then he turned around and he said, I'm a police officer. Oh God, you're in trouble now. He said, these are not your records, are they? Don't stereotype. You think I don't appreciate a bit of my old Beethoven dub? Rachmaninoff remixes. Don't stereotype me, you know. And he said, what's your name, son? I said, my name is Bob Marley. Now, this is a long time ago, right? This is before the white world really discovered Bob Marley. And he goes, yeah? Robert Marley. Have you got a middle name? Yeah, Robert Nestor Marley. He goes to my friend, what's your name? He says, Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh.
What's your name? Buddy Wayland. We actually went to court, we were like Bob Marley and the Wailers in court. One thing I got to tell you is that when I got kicked out of school, this teacher said to me, she said, you are going to end up dead or doing a life sentence. That's what she said to me. Could you imagine that? What effect that had upon my juvenile mind? I'm going to end up dead or doing a life sentence. And I thought about it. And I thought, you know, how could you say that to me? How could you say that to me? She said, you are a born failure. And I looked up at my teacher and I said, I'm so confused. One teacher tells me I'm a born cricketer. Another teacher tells me I'm a born failure. What am I? An English cricketer? Anyway, things are getting tight, you know, and I get to a point where it gets really serious. Some of my friends got in trouble in a bad way, so they got really long sentences. A couple of my other friends ended up being shot. And I ended up kind of sleeping with a handgun underneath my pillow. And I remember thinking about that teacher saying that I'm going to end up dead or doing a life sentence. And then seeing some of my friends ending up dead and doing life sentences. And I just thought, I've got to prove my teacher wrong. I've got to do something about this. And I woke up one day and just said, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Arise. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Arise. You have your money, your color TV, your mobility, your big salary. You have your ID, you own all you see now. Wake up from your sleep. You're big with the boss, you made up the loss, you bow to the cross, you're still into brush, you're not into us, you don't give a toss, no. Wake up from your sleep. Cause all you a do is slumber. You no work intelligently. You may know your name and number, but you live that fantasy. Yes, all you a do is nothing, and nothing will not do. Sometime you must do something, or something will do you. You fly every year, you just put a share, you have greasy hair, you have a home spare, you fare despair, you just don't care now. Wake up from your sleep. Your mortgage is cool, your kids love school, you make every rule, your home has a pool, run on green fuel, you're playing the fool now. Wake up from your sleep. Cause all you do is exist, and the time has come to live. Come out of that great big mist, and practice how to give. Yes, all you want is status, then you put that with the quo. If you wake up now, you may just live good before you go. You pay your way, work, rest and play, you plan your day, you plan to stay, cause come what may, you'll be okay now. Wake up from your sleep. As cool as ice, you drink with polite, you pay for advice, you don't mind the price, cause life's so nice and you don't live twice now. Wake up from your sleep, yeah. Wake up from your sleep. 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 Cause all you a do is follow. You come in like lost sheep. Sometime before tomorrow, you must wake up from your sleep. Yes, all you a do is conform, believing you are free. What you see as the norm is normal insanity. You have your pension plan, you have your wages in your hand, your bills are paid up on demand. No, wake up from your sleep. Your partner's at home cooking, you think you're not bad looking. Big brother has your booking. No, wake up from your sleep. Yeah. Wake up from your sleep. Wake up from your sleep. from your sleep. Wake up from your sleep. Wake up from your sleep.
I'm fascinated with the world. I'm fascinated with trees and nature and the nature in me. Now, I'm thinking of doing something now, and I do it and it works. I wake up every day and I go, wow, I'm glad to be alive. So that's one of the reasons why I exercise. When I started performing poetry, it wasn't really on the poetry scene, it was on the music scene. And to put it bluntly, there was a lot of drugs, a lot of people trying to get off their heads in different ways, and a lot of people didn't make it. You know, a lot of those people are dead. On top of that, when I was young, I had quite a bad temper. So doing physical exercise for me was my way of getting high. At the end of doing a session of boxing or Tai Chi, I am absolutely high. And I know there's some scientific people that can explain this, but I am high. And you know, a very long time ago, I had a spliff and I inhaled. And I know what it's like to be kind of high on a spliff. But when you get high on breathing, there's something very special about that. And when I started touring, I didn't tour like a poet, I toured like a rock and roll star. You know, I was around the world, leaving home for 6 months at a time, and in hotels and eating restaurant food and stuff like that. But every morning I got up and I started with vigorous exercise, and throughout the day, well, throughout the morning, it just slowed down until it becomes Tai Chi and meditation. And that's how I love to start my day. It just works for me. When I was young, I loved exercise, and I remember somebody saying when I was young, you know, why do you do all this stuff? You're not overweight, you don't seem to have a health problem. And I said, it's simple. I've heard that some people invest in cars. I've heard that some people invest in shares and in property. I invest in my body. And for me to perform on stage and to keep my mind agile and to keep thinking and to sit down and read a book and have a fresh, clear head, I need to exercise. The art of Kung Fu, and especially Tai Chi, which is from the same family, is really about meditation, about understanding the body, and about understanding the self.
Anyway, one day I was in India and I was in a place called Jalandhar, and I was travelling from Jalandhar to another place called Amritsar. And this guy was there, and he looked so pleased to see me. He was jumping up and down, and I went up to him and I said, yeah, what's happening? You look happy. Do I owe you some money? And he said, no, you a sadhu. I said, no, I'm not a sadhu. He said, yeah, you African sadhu. I said, no, Rastaman from Birmingham. Anyway, he insisted on taking me to meet his friend who was a sadhu. And he's sitting there, and he's naked, and he's sitting in the lotus position. And he's covered all over with some ash. Sometimes they go to funeral pyres when bodies are burning, and they take the ash and put it over them. And he's sitting there in the lotus position. And he's telling me about the way of the sadhu, non-possessiveness, not getting angry. One of the favorite words in Sanskrit, I love this word, I just love saying it, apravigraha. It means non-possessiveness. The idea is that the more things you possess, the more you worry about them. So the less things you have, it's easier to meditate. And that's true. You know, I mean, I go and I sit to meditate and I think, did I get my Brunel parking permit? Yeah. I'm in the middle of my meditation, you know, that's what I think. So anyway, yeah, so, you know, I kind of, I was connecting with this guy and I was really getting the vibe and I was really thinking, yeah, you know, I'm going to take off my jacket, take off my clothes, I'm going to get naked and hang out with this guy, you know what I mean? Because he's got nothing, he's just sitting there. He's just there, a pile of dreadlocks, a lot of ganja. You don't have ganja here, do you? It's not. Ganja, and he's just sitting there, meditating. And I think, yeah. And it's a very Indian moment, because he's sitting there in a lotus position, the sun's coming down. It's like picture postcard India. And I felt the hand of enlightenment just about to touch me. And as the hand was getting nearer to me, his mobile phone rang. I said, you can't do that, mobile phone. He said, hey man, I got a girlfriend in Mumbai, you got to keep in touch, you know what I mean? So it inspired me to write this poem. It's called Meditate and Communicate. A sadhu, like a lotus, sits on India, waiting for the truth to take him home. And India is busy, getting busier, trying to repay its World Bank loan. The sadhu takes his ganja like a Rasta man. He blesses it and burns it for the nation. And as the smoke arrives in central Pakistan, the sadhu talks to God in meditation. One day, they say, the gods will return to India, and all our mixed up lives will fall into place. But first, the gods must deal with Bombay's mafia, and the mafia control a lot of spheres. Sadhu, like a lotus, sits on India, waiting for the truth to take him home. He's a pure and dedicated meditator. He's just meditating on his mobile phone.
My ears are battered and burnt, and I have just learned I have been listening to the wrong radio station. My mind has been brutalized, no, the pain can't be disguised. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I was beginning to believe that all black men were bad men, and white men would reign again. I was beginning to believe that I was a mindless drugs freak that couldn't control my sanity or my sexuality. I was beginning to believe that I couldn't believe in nothing except nothing, and all I ever wanted to do was get you and do you. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. My future has been blighted. I am so excited. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I was beginning to not trust me. In fact, I wanted to arrest me. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I've been dancing to music that I can't stand. I've been reciting commercials to my girlfriends. I've been trying to convince myself that what I really need is a sunbed and a mortgage and some hairspray, the kind of hairspray that will wash my grey blues away. I've been trying to convince myself that I shouldn't care about anyone else but myself. I've been trying to convince myself that I could ease my conscience if I gave a few pence or a few cents to a starving baby in Africa. Because African babies need me so. Because African babies need my favors. Because Africa is full of dictators, and oh yeah, globalization will bring salvation. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I thought my neighbors formed the axis of evil. I wanna go kill people. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. Hey, I was sure I didn't inhale, so why is my mind going stale? I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I was beginning to believe that all Muslims are terrorists and Christian terrorists didn't exist. I really did believe that terrorism couldn't be done by governments, not our governments, not white governments. I just could not see what was wrong with me. I gave hungry people hamburgers, you see. I was beginning to believe that our children were better than their children. Their children were dying from terrorism, but I couldn't hear their children call. And a child from Palestine simply didn't count at all. What despair! No children, I was not aware. I have been listening to the raw radio station. For years I've been sedated. Now I think I'm educated. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. And every time I got ill, I took the same little white pill. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. When it started I was curious, but then it got so serious. It was cool when it began, but now I really hate Iran. Look at me now, I wanna make friends with Pakistan, I wanna bomb Afghanistan, and I need someone to tell me, where the hell is Kurdistan? Yeah, you can be my ally for a while, until I come to bomb your child. And I'm sure there's a continent called the Middle East, and I think I can bomb my way to peace. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I've been listening to the wrong jams. I've been listening to the wrong beats. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I've been listening to the wrong tones from the wrong zones. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I've been listening to the wrong voices. I've made the mad choices. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I've been listening to lies. I've been listening to spies. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I needed to know what some pop star somewhere was having for breakfast. I needed to know that I was no longer working class. I needed to know if the stock market rose 1%. I needed to know that I had a ruler to give me confidence. I needed to know that my life would improve loads if I had an operation on my nose. I needed to hear that DJ say, good morning, good morning. I felt that he was there just for me. I loved the way that he would say, this show was sponsored by, oh my, oh my. He made me cry. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. Can you dig this? I put myself on a hit list. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. I used to take myself for granted. Now I believe I'm wanted. I'm laughing and I'm crying and I'm watching myself die. I've been listening to the wrong radio station. Listen to it. Can you hear? Listen to me. Keep this frequency clear. Go on, let me.
I heard that you left school when you were 13 years old. How did you learn to say poetry?
Yeah, she is deep, isn't she? I left school when I was 13. How did I learn to say poetry? Well, there's all kinds of poetry, and most of my poetry is written for performance. So, even though I left school when I was 13, and I wasn't able to read and write very well, because I just wasn't very good at school. And later on, when I learned to read and write, I learned that I was dyslexic. Do you know what dyslexia is?
Yeah.
So even now, I'm an old man now, I'm almost 100, you know, and
I still have difficulty reading and writing. But when I started enjoying poetry, it was hearing it and saying it and making it up. So, in a way, reading and writing wasn't very important. But then later on, when I wanted to write it down, I did struggle, and I went to adult education classes. And even when you've got dyslexia, a lot of people have dyslexia. There's only one language you can't be dyslexic in. Does anybody know it? And this includes the teachers. Anybody know it?
English?
English? No. Almost everybody who speaks English is dyslexic. No. Anybody else know it?
Latin?
Latin? No. No.
So guess Chinese.
You can be very dyslexic in Latin actually.
So guess Chinese.
Chinese, well done, my man. Yeah, this guy, he gave up Kiss Chase to study Chinese, you see? Do you know why? Because it's pictorial, it's lots of pictures. Yeah, they're a bit abstract to us if we don't speak Chinese. I speak a bit of Chinese, but I can't read it. So they're a bit abstract, but a long time ago, many of the early languages, like Egyptian and things like that, were pictorial, they were pictures. And it makes more sense to a human being to see a bird flying, and it means a bird flying, rather than to see some things, some squiggles that mean bird is flying. So we kind of make ourselves non-dyslexic, really. Dyslexia is almost like a natural state to have difficulty translating these things. It's not natural for us. It's natural for us to see sights and recognise faces and animals and things like that. And so dyslexia is not really a mark of your intelligence. So I had all these ideas in my head, even when I had trouble writing. But because I was able to stand on stage and perform, I could get away with it. Now I'm a much better reader and writer, but I still struggle with it.
I'll tell you something that my mum taught me. I don't know if you remember this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember where we were living at the time. And I can't remember who the other siblings were, whether it was Trevor, whether it was Mark, Paul, whoever. But I remember one night, we had thought there was a ghost in the house. So we woke up in the morning and said, Mum, we think there's a ghost in the house. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, you said, don't be scared of ghosts. Ghosts never hurt anybody. It's the living you got to be careful of.
Oh.
Do you remember
I
that?
might have said, no, it can ring a bell, yes.
I remember that so well.
Because it's true though.
It's the
Because a
living.
ghost can't hurt you, can't touch you.
Yeah.
So they just pass by, they're like flies, you blow them away, just fan them away and they go.
And I remember thinking, yeah, the living. And sometimes when I talk to people, I go, okay, when was the last time you read in the newspaper that a ghost robbed somebody on the high street?
No.
When was the last time you heard that,
True.
there was a ghost that brought down a bank?
No.
and I remember you
Human
say that,
beings.
and then I thought to myself, well, yeah. Sometimes people ask me, do you believe in ghosts? I say, well, it's not important, and a ghost has never attacked me. A ghost has never hurt me. But you've got to look at people who are living, and I think I don't fear them because I realise I am just a person. And okay, I can be unarmed, they can be armed. You've got to be careful. You've got to have to, but you've got to speak the truth. I'm also a passionate vegan, and this also has to do with my health. And I've kind of done with trying to convince people now that it's good for them. I say, look at me, I'm 54 years old. If you think veganism and Kung Fu is not good for me, I'll race you. Because, I still play football. I play football in a team of 16 to 25-year-olds. And none of them have to compromise for me. In fact, I'm a right winger basically, so I'm running down the wing and either scoring goals or passing it to the goal scorer. I just look at people and say, look at the quality of my skin, etc. I just want to be a living example. So I've kind of done with the preaching. But I must say that although I haven't really written any poetry about martial arts and keeping fit, it is one of the most important things that helps me to write and stay creative.
My brother was a goalkeeper, right? And goalkeepers hardly ever score goals. Someone's going to go, yeah, they do sometimes. But they hardly ever score goals. And my brother got the ball once. He saved, and then he got the ball, and he kicked it. And it went over everybody's head. And the other goalkeeper went for it, and he missed it. And so my brother scored. And it was the first time he ever scored a goal. And so we celebrated for 1 hour. This here poem is the story of that celebration. It's called Football Mad. Oh no, bless my soul, Trevor scored a goal. So he runs up the pitch and wriggles his body. He gets kissed by 10 men, all sweaty and snotty. He's waving his fist to the Queen, who just stares. The lad's going crazy, but everyone cheers. Now what's he doing? He's chewing the cud. Now what's he doing? He's rolling in mud. Now he is crying. I think he's in pain. Now what's he doing? He's smiling again. Oh no, bless my soul, clever Trevor scored a goal. He's doing gymnastics. He's doing some mime. He's kissing the ground for a very long time. He's now on his back with his feet in the air. He's gone all religious and stopped for a prayer. Did he pray for the sick? Did he pray for the poor? No, he prayed for the ball and he prayed to score. No one can restart the game until Trevor has had his moment of fame. Oh no, bless my soul, Trevor scored a goal. He kicked the ball into the net. How much money will he get? It's called money. Well, keep it simple. Money make a rich man feel like a big man. It make a poor man feel like a hooligan. A one-parent family feel like a ruffian, and those who have it won't give you anything. Money makes your friend become your enemy. You start seeing things very superficially. Your life is lived very artificially, unlike those who live in poverty. Money inflates your ego, but money brings you down. Money causes problems. Anyway, money is found. Food is what we need. Food is necessary. Let me grow my food and then can eat their money. Money makes a singer sing a load of crap. Money keeps horses running round the track. Money makes marriages, and money makes divorce, and money makes a student think about the course. Money makes commercials, and commercials make money. And if you don't have money, you just watch more TV. Money can save us, but yet we feel doomed. Plenty money burns in a nuclear mushroom. Money can't make you happy. Money can't help you when you die. And those who have it continue while you live a lie. Children are dying. Spies are spying. Refugees are fleeing. Politicians are lying. And deals are done. And webs are spun. Lords keep the third world on the run. And this brother feels better than the brother next door, because this brother's got money and this brother's got more. And this brother thinks that brother's not a brother because he's poor. When the brother kills the other, that is economic war. Economic war, we call it economic war. It may not be the East and the West anymore, but the North and the South, third world, far out. Coffee and oil, that's what it's about. Economic war, shots fired from the stock market floor. So we work for a living, how we try with so little time for chilling like we're living a lie. Money makes a dream become reality. Money makes real life like a fantasy. Money has a habit of going to the head. I have some for a rainy day underneath my bed. Money problems make it hard to relax. Money makes it difficult to get down to the facts. Money makes you worship vanity and lies. Money is a drug with legal eyes. Economists come, economists go. You try controlling your cash flow. Food costs loads and you just can't score. And the rich people try to dress like the poor.
Nobody really understands the interest rate. When there is interest, then it's all too late. We cherish education, but how much do you pay? You can't buy race relations or the father holiday. Money can make you happy. Money can help you when you die, and those who have it continually live a lie and know them say, it's money culture time, money culture them, not yours or mine. Money culture who? Money culture what? Money culture fries where love is not. Then can buy and sell until they go to hell. Then can tax the wisher at the wishing well. No Frankenstein come to privatize. Empire fools get penny wise. Every government will take what they can get. Every government is quick to forget. Every government can make money by killing. Every government loves money, no kidding. But money is paper. Paper will burn. So think about trees as you earn. It could do good, but it does more bad. Money is fake and we've been had. Some study how to manage it. Some study how to spend it. Some people just cannot comprehend it. Some study how to move it from one country to another. Some study how to study it and them study forever. Some people never see it and then work hard. Others never see it, them just carry cards. Some people grab it without no thanks and then let it pile up in high street banks. Money inflates your ego, but money brings you down. Money causes problems. Anyway, money is found. Food is what we need. Food is necessary. Let me grow my food and then can eat them money because parents are hoping. Some are not hoping. Some are just managing books, need balancing property is fair. No money means death. You pay for your rent and then nothing left. Some will pick a pocket. Some appear to stop it. Those who appear to stop it, they happy because they got it. Some go out and fight for it, some claim they have the right to it, and people like my grandparents live long but never sight it. Money made me go out and rob, then it made me go looking for a job. Money made the nurse and the doctor immigrate. Money buys friends you love to hate. Money made slavery seem alright. Money brought the Bible and the Bible shone the light. Victory to the penniless at grassroots sources become to mash down market forces. That paper giant called market forces.
Thank you very much. I have to tell you something. I'm on a mission, you see, and the mission is, since I've come to Brunel, to really raise the profile and status of poetry here. Not so long ago, I met Letty, who helped run the poetry.
And one day I get this email saying, would you consider taking a job at Brunel University? At first I thought there was some kind of residency. They wanted me to come down and do some readings. And then it said, this is a permanent post. This has a salary. And I thought, I've never had a permanent post before and I've never had a salary before. Why would I want to do that now? So I called and said, what is this about? And they said, no, we'd like you to take up this post. It's a post that's created for you. If you want to start next week, you can start next week. If you want to start next year, you can start next year. But we really want you to come here. When I saw the reaction of some of the students and knowing that I'd be coming there, I just thought, I've got to do this. When I thought about what I could do, what I used to do when I lived in London with young people and up-and-coming poets, mentoring them, I thought, this is just a continuation of that. I've told them I can't teach, I can't be academic as such, but what I can do is inspire. It's creative writing. Everybody's got creativity in them, and what I'm going to try and do is stoke it up and let it burn. And I absolutely love the job. I may have an unusual way of so-called teaching, but the university wants me for my experience and not for my ability to work with a textbook. And I like the idea of helping people perform, because this is what I specialise in, writing poetry for performance. This is the module I've created, unique within any university in Britain. Writing poetry for performance. They get marked on their performance rather than the poetry on the page. Other people are doing that. And to see them leaving the university and thinking that they can go out there and perform They're being taught about stagecraft. They're being taught about how to write for the stage as well as the page. And because, you know, the reality is not all poets are going to be published. And some poets are really good at performing, you know, but it's not working on a page. And they should be given a platform. And so, you know, some of these poets will leave the university and next week they can be doing a gig. Actually, some of them can be doing gigs while they're in the university. I mean, that's one of the things I'm beginning to organise now. So, I want to start something new. I want to know that when young people are thinking about being a performance poet or learning about the oral tradition and being a part of the oral tradition, they come to Brunel University and they come to me. I think it's very selfish to just write your books, collect your royalties, go to a few readings and a few festivals. We've got to share it. You know, we've got to encourage the next generation of writers and performers. It's our duty to do that. That's part of being an activist. And Bob Marley was a great inspiration to me because in the early 70s I wrote a letter to him and he replied with a handwritten letter. In fact, I wrote a letter and sent him some poems, and it was just like, you know, I'm a poet in England and I just want you to look at these poems and tell me what you think of them. Something that people do to me now all the time. And he sent me back a handwritten letter. It just said something as simple as keep going, I love your poetry. And he said, Britain needs you. And I remember that, Britain needs you. You've got to keep doing this. And I thought, right, if he's given me his approval, then I'm going to keep doing it. And it was a great inspiration. And that's why now, when people write me letters, I try and answer all of them. Because I know how much that reply from Bob Marley meant to me.
Probably Keats, in this very room, sat here and questioned what to find of poetry, what are we trying to do with it, can we change the world, love poetry versus political poetry, can they come together, all these things. I don't think they would have been out of place in Keats' time. I came to Keats through Shelley. I was at the Edinburgh Festival one year and I was staying in a house. This is a bit unusual for me. I usually demand a hotel, but for some reason I ended up staying in a house. And there wasn't very many books in the room, but there was one book that stood out, a big fat thing called Red Shelley by Paul Foote. And I took it up and I started to read it. And I'm dyslexic, so I'm a kind of slow reader, but I read it in like 2 sittings. And it's all about Shelley. There's not that much of his poetry in it, it's just about him. And I was just amazed. I just thought, I used to think that Shelley was one of the dead white male poets that I used to dismiss. After reading this book, I thought, this is a brother I'd like to hang out with. You know, what he was trying to do with language and politics is kind of what I'm trying to do now in my work. And then I understood that he was connected to the Romantic movement. What was that? You know, and I started to look at Byron and then Keats, of course. So at first I found them very difficult. But what helped me was, I suppose this is what happened with Shelley, was not just going to the poetry, but first of all going to the person. I'm not sure if this is correct, I'm not sure if teachers would do this normally, but I find that if the person turns me on and I understand the politics and the times they were living in, then reading the poetry is much more easier. I want to read it, I want to understand it. I don't get to think apart and think, oh, that's too difficult, just skip over it and I'll come back to it later. I think, yeah, I want to know what this means because this person wouldn't waste this line. You know? And that's, in fact, although I don't do much teaching, if I ever do talk about Shelley or some poet from the past, I will usually talk about the times they were living in. If I'm talking about Shelley, Byron and Keats, I'll talk about the government of the day, Castlereagh, and what was going on in Spain and things like this. If you want to talk about a poem like The Mask of Anarchy, to just read The Mask of Anarchy and not talk about the Peterloo riots, it just doesn't make sense. So the more I understood about Keats, the more I understood his poetry and the more I began to love his poetry. But I tell you, one of the gems of Keats, if you can really get into it, is reading his letters. Oh, his letters, and most of them exist to Fanny. It is poetry in itself.
Yeah, well, that's it, I'm afraid we have run out of time. But before we go, I'd just like to say one thing to you. Be nice to your turkeys this Christmas. Because turkeys just want to have fun. Turkeys are cool and turkeys are wicked. And every turkey has a mom. Be nice to your turkey this Christmas. Don't eat it, keep it alive. It could be your mate and not on your plate. Say, yow turkey, I'm on your side. I've got lots of friends who are turkeys, and all of them fear Christmas time. They say, Benj, hey Benjamin, hey Benj. I want to enjoy it, but those humans have destroyed it, and those humans are out of their mind. Yes, I've got lots of friends who are turkeys, and all have the right to a life, not to be caged up and genetically made up by a farmer and his wife. No, turkeys just want to play reggae. Turkeys just want to hip hop. Have you ever seen a nice young turkey saying, amen, I cannot wait for the chop? No. Turkeys would like to get presents. Turkeys want to watch Christmas TV. Turkeys feel pain, and turkeys have brains in many ways like you and me. I once knew a turkey. His name was Turkey. He said, Benji, explain to me, please. Who put the turkey in Christmas? And what happens to Christmas trees? I said, I'm not too sure, Turkey, but it's got nothing to do with Christmas. No, humans get greedy and waste more than need be, and businessmen make lots of cash. So, be nice to your turkeys this Christmas. Invite them indoors for some greens. Let them eat cake, and let them partake in a plate of organic grown beans. Be nice to your turkeys this Christmas, and spare them the cut of the knife. Join Turkeys United, or Aston Villa, and they'll be delighted, and you'll make new friends for life. Thanks.
It is about a kind of journey you take, and I'm really lucky. I mean, I'm so fortunate in that if I want to capture some moments in poetry, I have an outlet for that in terms of my adult poetry. If I want to do that for children, I've got an outlet for that. If I've got a longer story I want to tell, I've got an outlet for that. I can do a novel and I've got a publisher. If I've got something to do and it's musical, I've got an outlet for that. And sometimes playwriting. I really think I'm really fortunate. When I think that I come from a family who are not really involved in the arts at all. The arts in Jamaica kind of happened on the porch, on the veranda. And it was storytelling, but I really consider myself lucky. And every day that I get up and I do my exercise and I do my deep breathing and all that stuff, and I thank creation for allowing me to be a part of it, I also remember that somebody built this house. Somebody has to clean the roads. Somebody has to pick up the litter on the streets. Somebody has to clean the public toilets. And I respect them just as much as I respect my fellow writers and novelists and poets. Poets and novelists need to go to the toilet too.
We need to drive down the road, you know. And we're all just playing our part in it. The only thing I would say to everybody, doesn't matter what you do, and it kind of doesn't matter how much, but just have a little bit of poetry in your life. Just a little bit. Doesn't matter if you're a road sweeper, you fly jumbo jets. Every now and again, just sit down and read a poem. There's nothing like it. Well, no, there's nothing like it.
To do with me. There's a man beating his wife, the woman just lost her life, them call that domestic strife. What has that got to do with me? Babies are buried on the floors in a church behind closed doors. I don't know the bloody cause. What has that got to do with me? I've seen all the documentaries and there's nothing I can do. I have listened to the commentaries. Why should I listen to you? If I'm told to go, I vote. If I need money, I strike. If I'm told not to, then I won't. I want the best deal out of life. The fit cannot go jogging because there's someone out there mugging when they should be spreading loving. What has that got to do with me? Me and you must just stand back because they're gonna bomb Iraq. It's a surgical attack. What has that got to do with me? I just want to live my life, mate, so just leave me alone. Why should I fight the state when I am trying to buy my home? I just want to earn my bread, guy, and feed my family. You may starve and you may die, but what has that got to do with me? Poets are dying in Nigeria or forced to leave the area. Multinationals are superior. What has that got to do with me? And in some West End I've heard that she can't say a word and he must grow a beard. What has that got to do with me? What has that got to do with me? I'm just this guy from Birmingham and all I want to do is live good in the hood. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just your average football fan. And hey, some foreign teams are very, very good. Why should you worry yourself? You cannot change a single thing. All you've got to do is take what you can get. Why should you worry yourself? Try hard and you will die trying. And what can any of us do about Tibet? I see 1 million refugees on 20 million TVs and I think, who the fuck are these? What has that got to do with me? Hurry up, I've got no time. Don't you mess with what is mine. Yes, I've signed the dotted line. What has that got to do with me? Your school has just been closed down and your taxis buying bombs, and although you come from downtown, you don't know where you're coming from. You don't know what you are eating. Your food has a terrible taste and you can be sure that you are drinking some kind of chemical waste. There's a price upon your head, even though you're newlywed. The police just shot you dead. What has that got to do with me? And down in the police station, they are killing the black nation. But that's normal race relations. What has that got to do with me? What has that got to do with me? What has that got to do with the man upon the corner that is selling guns? So we can kill each other as we rear, or the cracker who is trying to crack up everyone, taking all the cash to become a slave, or the mother in the gutter who is begging bread, where the man dressed in a Gucci heels a cab. All I'm trying to do is praise the Lord, it must be said. And what has that got to do with anything I've had? A baby from Pakistan is making footballs for the man. Or is she an Indian? And what has that got to do with me? And there's no proper propaganda about Malawi or Rwanda, and all this makes me wonder, what has that got to do with me? I used to go on demonstrations, but now my feet can't take the pace. I've tried to be a vegan, but there's egg upon my face. My last stand was the miners' strike. I did the cop patrol, but now it's central heating that I like and I just don't need any coal. Indonesia needs more, British arms to East Timor, more Western bombs to bomb the poor. What has that got to do with me? And over in Algeria they say there's another massacre. Isn't that the part of Africa? What has that got to do with me? And I don't want to go to an American death row, there's no compassion there I know, but what has that got to do with me? My gosh! I can see you have been tortured, and your wife has been drawn and quartered. And your children have been slaughtered. What has that got to do with me?
Black people no run away. We have to stand and fight for another day. My people no run away. We have to stand and fight them anywhere. Them have a little power and now them want devour the disabled, single parents and the blacks. Them say them spending money in a bid to make you happy, but the truth is that you just cannot relax. Them say you have a share, but you can't see it anywhere. Then set up a lottery to fool the nation. Them not deal with charity, and the black reality is every week a brother dead in a the station. Black people no run away. We have to stand and fight for another day. My people no run away. We have to stand and fight them anywhere. Them talk about equal opportunities in schools and universities. Now them have a brand new scheme. Play your drums, do some sport, but an intellectual fort means a uniform removed you from the scene. And a priest on TV representing you and me tells the world that he can't understand. Well, to put it simply, there is no equality, and equality is what people demand. Black people no run away. We have to stand and fight for another day. Stand firm. My people no run away. We have to stand and fight them anywhere. Stand firm. You got your color TV. Stand firm. But that don't mean that you are free. Stand firm. Even if your wages make you sweet. Stand firm. It is no good if you cannot walk the streets. Make them move, yeah. Go away, yeah. I'm telling you, we have to stick together. Make them move, yeah. Back way, yeah. And beware of the new world order. Make them move, yeah. Go away, yeah. Make them know that we have ways of fighting back. Make them move, yeah. Back way, yeah. Zephaniah and Professor tell you that. Black people no run away. We have to stand and fight for another day. Stand firm. My people no run away. We have to stand and fight them anywhere. Don't turn. Black people no run away. We have to stand and fight for another day. Stand firm. My people no run away. We have to stand and fight them anywhere.
Benjamin is here with some friends and we're doing some filming.